Hi there. My name is Lady Lilac, and I'm a moderator for the Silphco Draft Association. We're an organization that runs seasonal singles and VGC draft leagues on Discord. And for our final season of Sword and Shield Pokemon Draft, I decided I wanted to find out what Pokemon was the strongest mon across all formats. To that end, I created a brand new draft format called Team Unified, where players would come together in teams of 3 to draft a single 10-mon squad. This squad would be made up of only Pokemon within the Galarian Pokedex, and from this squad each team would assemble a singles team, a VGC team, and a 6v6 Smogon doubles team to clash against a new opponent each week. The team that won the championship would prove beyond doubt that their Pokemon were the very best across all formats. After a tumultuous 7-week regular season, the pool of teams was narrowed from 18 to 10, and after 3 weeks of dramatic upsets and shocking Cinderella runs through the playoffs bracket, the competition had been narrowed down to just 2 teams. The Nihilistic Nihilagos, a bulky offensive team spearheaded by the hoodlum Scrafty, and the Invading Insects, a defensive recovery-centric team that often utilized stall tactics and Perish Trap to break down opposing defensive walls. I grabbed my trusty co-host, Chad, aka DH Selenor on Twitch, to livecast their climactic confrontation, and in the end, I found my answer. Here's how it happened. A little bit of background for the matchup. So we have the Nihilagos and we have the Invading Insects. Neither of these were super top tier teams actually in the regular season. The Invading Insects squeaked by with a 4-3 record. They were actually the 9th seed, so they had to play the play-in round of playoffs, where they defeated, I want to say, was it the Sludge Waves? Yeah, they defeated the Sludge Waves. They moved up. They killed my team, the Radiants. And then in semifinals, I believe it was the Redbirds that they took down to play against, to make their way to the finals. The Nihilagos started off 1-2 in the first 3 weeks, and then they just won out, right? Like they did not drop a game after that.
Yep, the Spades effect.
Yeah, pretty much. Like Spades joined them week 3 after the dramatic mid-season roster substitution.
Yeah.
And yeah, they made some trades as well. They dropped Buzzwole, picked up some other mons, and things just started working for them.
Dropping Buzzwole as an L.
They took down Serene Grace twice, which was like Panda, Gumi, and Lucian's team. Once in regular season and then once in semifinals.
That's sick.
And both times, actually, Jackie, who's our VGC player that we're watching, did beat Panda in the VGC rounds. So Jackie's clearly a very accomplished... Yeah, Jackie clearly a very accomplished VGC player, and they're taking on Ilyakko from the Insects in the first round.
Okay.
And Ilyakko believes that their team, even in the wake of the results of this, Ilyakko believes that they had the best team in the format, so we will see how that goes for them.
Oh no, I'm looking at this team and this kind of looks like fucking poo-poo. Just to me, this does not look like a super great team.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's balanced for all 3 formats, and a lot of these mons do inherit good moves, right? Like Jirachi in 6v6 doubles is like a ban-worthy Pokemon, just because it's just bulky Steel type with Follow Me.
Yeah.
But when you look at looking at this matchup here, we've got these 6 Pokemon. It's just typical VGC rules. Dynamax is allowed. What are you kind of looking at for threats, for Dynamax options, and for potential leads for both teams?
Oh well, the only good max option on Ilyakko's team is Mamoswine. Jolteon's okay. Like it with the Life Orb, it can deal some damage with max, but it doesn't look like it does a whole lot here. Kind of just gets its attacks redirected by Tangrowth and Marowak, so it doesn't seem super great. Mamoswine feels a lot better because it's actually strong and it doesn't get intimidated and it doesn't get its attacks redirected as easily. So that seems pretty decent from Ilyakko, but Jackie kind of just has like the better setup. Trick Room is really dangerous here, and Jackie has like Trick Room with Fake Out, Trick Room with Redirection, and then a really powerful Dynamax. Two really powerful Dynamax Trick Room sweepers with Marowak and Dusclops, or not Dusclops. What's the
Kaparaja? Big Raj.
So yeah, so those two mons are really fucking scary with Dynamax.
Yeah, and Zapdos is no slouch in Max either.
Yeah, super good Max mon. I'm not as like sold on Zapdos in this matchup for Dynamaxing just because it kind of gets dumpstered by Mamoswine.
Yeah, Volt Absorb Jolteon there too, right? And...
yeah, Jolteon is a Pokemon that exists. But yeah, with the redirection support from Jirachi, Mamoswine looks like it's really dangerous. So that's like the big thing that Jackie's kind of, from my perspective, that Jackie kind of has to play around. So.
Okay, let's take a look at the leads for Game 1 and see how it starts out. So Jackie leads Dusclops Scrafty, and we get Ilyakko leads Torn and Mamo.
No way, leading with Fake Out plus Trick Room? That's insane.
Yeah, he called it. So,
yeah, so...
Torn Team Mamoswine. That seems like a pretty obvious setup to just try and throw up Tailwind and start maxing your Mamoswine, but that's not going to do very well here with the Dusclops, like setting Trick Room.
Yeah, Tailwind looks like fucking poo-poo here. If he has Taunt on Tornadus, then like they go for it here onto the Dusclops to keep TR from going up, but if they don't, then they're kind of in a rough spot. It doesn't look like the Scrafty is Intimidate either. I don't know if I was just like a thing that I missed. It doesn't look like it because Tornadus doesn't have an Intimidate.
That's a Moxie Scrafty, and I believe they've run a lot of Moxie Scrafty throughout the season.
Yeah, Moxie Scrafty is legit. It probably feels way better in 66 doubles than it does in VGC, but Intimidate doesn't really get them a whole lot of value here, just because Mamoswine can't be intimidated. So, yeah, there's like a couple mix-ups they could go for here. Realistically, like, Scrafty's probably going to go for Fake Out into Torn, because Torn is the one that can taunt the Dusclops, and Mamoswine probably doesn't have any way to threaten an Oko onto Clops, so...
yeah, maybe they could turn the tables with like a Max Torn, Airstreaming into Scrafty, and like try and double into the Scrafty if they're calling a Fake Out on Torn.
Maybe. I feel like that wouldn't be a super great play, though, because I'm going into this completely blind.
Right? I actually haven't seen this game either.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, I know I've seen the...
here.
Yeah, I've seen the 6v6 match, but I have not seen the VGC games. And I know it goes to 3, so...
yeah, I don't know. Dusclops, like, you could max Torn and then try to double up into Dusclops to hopefully maybe pick up an Oko, but I'm not sure Mamoswine and Tornadus have that kind of strength. Dusclops is just so bulky.
Yeah, it's very bulky. But let's see what they go for.
Yeah, let's see it. Life Orb Mamo. Okay.
Just straight hard into Slowbro. Take the Fake Out in the Torn, and that looks like a free Trick Room going up.
Yeah. Oh. Dynamax the Slowbro, okay. Well, that's a little bit of a spoiler, but I guess it kind of makes sense. To be honest, Slowbro kind of looks like it just gets dumpstered by Scrafty here. I know for a fact that Slowbro ain't got fairy coverage, so Scrafty's like a pretty tough cookie to take out.
Yeah, likely AV.
Yeah, Tornadus is completely fucking useless here. Like in Trick Room, it just like doesn't have anything to do. So, interesting decision to max the Slowbro, especially considering that Mamoswine is the one with the Life Orb. So,
yeah, I can see it if they want to help buy turns in Trick Room, right? Like maxing it lets it take the dark moves from Scrafty better and maybe retaliate. It does lose it, like if it is AV Scrafty though, it's going to be frailer on the physical side, but you lose the ability to potentially punish that with like a Shell Sidearm.
Right. Well, I mean, Shell Sidearm, you still need it becomes a physical attack when it would be stronger physically, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if you don't have like any investment in your physical attack, that move isn't going to do that much to Scrafty anyhow.
Is that how that works? Okay. That makes sense, actually. I don't know.
It feels like a weird play all around. I feel like you just kind of want to go for like stalling out Trick Room, and then maybe try to get Mamoswine in a position to max. As of right now, this just doesn't look like a super great spot for Ilyakko.
Yeah, Dusclops might just go for a Will-O-Wisp, and then we'll see if the Scrafty could still max here, right? Because it's slower than Slowbro. So let's see. No, just a Helping Hand boost.
Helping Hand is sick.
That's gonna do not a lot.
The special attack boost on Torn is actually kind of nice.
Oh, and that's a big crit. Policy.
Policy energy. Okay.
Yeah, and then we get a taunt from the Tornadus going out in the Dusclops. So it's probably gonna... We'll see if the Dusclops has an attacking move. Poltergeist is not going to be very good here if that's what it has. Because you can't get Slowbro anymore.
The 100% Nightshade on Dusclops and
Nightshade?
VGC, just like typically the move you see.
Yeah, I guess it's more Dusk
Um,
Noir that usually runs the Polter, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was a really interesting play. The weakness policy, or the crit itself was actually really bad for Ilyakko because Slowbro just took a ton of unnecessary damage there. But I guess like in retrospect, like weakness policy does make sense because you do want something Dynamaxing that has the potential to do damage. So, yeah, now Torn T and Slowbro both have special attack boosts, and so they're both in pretty good positions to deal some damage.
Yeah, the Slowbro is going to outslow it, right? Plus, the first ooze did 38, and it's at +3 now. Like, another one will kill its Scrafty. If it wants to live, it's probably going to have to Dynamax in return, right? But that's not a bad spot for it to be in either.
Honestly, I think you want Scrafty to die here so that you get a free switch into Marowak or Mamoswine. Or not Mamoswine.
Big Raj?
Kaparaja, yeah. I'm going to get that Mon's name right one of these times.
I'm just going to keep calling it Big Raj until you do.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, let's see how this next turn plays out. They hard switch into Kaparaja, Nightshade on the Torn, and they get red.
Oh, fucking red the switch.
That is a full read on that, and it looks like Tornado still has to go.
I'm not sure they had anything to lose though because they're setting up the sun, and with the Tornado's heat waving as well. That if the Scrafty had even lived +3 max flare, then Tornadoes would have finished it off with heat wave. But now
it might have got a lethal hit off. It might have got a lethal hit off on the Slowbro. I guess Slowbro might have still lived.
I think Slowbro would have lived because the first one was a helping hand crit.
Oh yeah, that's
true. The
true.
second one would have been just base form crunch. So
yeah,
I'm not so certain about that.
Yeah, the heat wave miss on Dusclops. Sun boosted heat wave single target though. That's pretty big here.
Yeah. If he has Marowak, then if Jackie still has Marowak, then could still be in an okay spot here, but otherwise it's looking a little rough.
Yeah, I mean nothing's gonna outslow Slowbro, right? So it should get another attack off. Even Kaparaja could have tried to speed tie it, but unless Marowak Marowak's guaranteed like not holding an item that makes it slower, so it's tough. It is gonna be the Marowak. It is gonna be the Dynamax Marowak.
Max guard here. Oh, it doesn't max guard.
Nope, they're going full offense. It's
just gonna get blasted.
It eats though.
I think we might be looking at a little too late scenario though.
Oh shit! I hit reset. Okay, let's
just play through the turns.
Yeah, there's like what, turn 3?
I think it's turn
next
5.
turn.
I think
this turn.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, obviously Whack is gonna max here. Yeah, crazy that he didn't max guard, but I guess was confident in Whack's ability to live the attack.
Yeah, and then the heat wave comes in, misses the Dusclops again. That's
Tornadus is so bad. Literally +1 special attack in the sun doesn't finish Marowak off with like.
That Dusclops might well be dead after in fact, we'd have to see more calcs, but like, I mean, it is still a Dusclops, but with a plus SPDF, but that's a lot of damage missing left in the table.
Getting the +1 SPDF is probably gonna save it there, but the 2 heat wave misses is definitely a big deal.
Yeah, this Marowak's gonna get another attack off next. We'll see what they go into next. Hitmontop.
Oh, I'm surprised to not see Mamoswine with like Ice Shard here, but might not have it given the matchup.
Yeah, it's possible, right? Ice Shard does seem like a move that would be really good here, though. Like, super effective priority on like on some of the big threats on Zapdos and stuff like that, and I don't think it makes contact either.
Well, I think that the big thing is that this team actually has Tapu Lele, doesn't it?
Oh, they do have Tapu Lele. Yeah, they do.
So it might have been scared of that.
there is a Lele that didn't come to VGC, but yeah, Psychic Terrain, and they don't have terrain control on their team either.
Yeah. $20 says that Mamoswine has Iron Head as his 3rd attack rather than Ice Shard.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Being able to throw out Steel Spikes too if you're Dynamaxing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
in this position, I don't know. I guess you just kind of have to hope and pray that Hitmontop can fake out kill Marowak here. Otherwise, it's not looking super great.
Yeah, otherwise Marowak guarantee gets the attack off. Fake out might do enough. It's only 4%, but that Marowak has been pretty bulky. On the special side, at least.
I'm not confident in Hitmontop personally. I don't think it's very strong, but
Yeah, Trick Room does go down in one turn, but I think this could be where we see, like, Taunt should also end around the same time. This could be where we see the Heat Wave misses really come into play, right? If Dusclops can get Heat Wave back up for Scrafty, then Mamoswine cannot win that 1v1. Fake Out does get the kill.
Hitmontop got it.
But they don't get the kill on the Torn.
Oh, jeez.
Dusclops
shakes. No damage.
Oh.
Yeah. Moxie kill there. I mean, this play is relatively obvious.
Yeah,
you just go for your Moxie kill on Torn and then try to set Trick Room back up with Dusclops. There's nothing really to call there. Yeah,
attack boost. CC. Oh, that's probably game then. Trick Room's going to come up, but this is just a Dusclops. I don't know.
You might just be able to ignore Hitmontop here, but I'm not sure if you can. Oh, it has Drill Run. Okay. Yeah, Memo's just doing far too much damage here. You can't even like Pain Split that away, and it doesn't look like they even have Pain Split anyhow. So
no, it'll go the distance there. Okay, so Heat Wave misses don't end up mattering. They got just enough damage off of that Slowbro.
Yeah, Slowbro went kind of crazy. Definitely going to see a lot more of a careful game plan around it coming from Jackie's side.
I don't think we see a hard Copperaja switch into it again.
Probably not. Considering that got called hard as fuck. So yeah, game 2 game plan. I don't know. Like, I think Jackie might be a little more scared to try to go with the Trick Room game plan, just because of how hard it got dumpstered by Slowbro. But I mean, you can't really lead Zapdos into what Ilyakko led last time, because it was literally Tornadus plus Mamoswine, which dumpsters Zapdos as well. So kind of in a bind here. And one can reasonably assume that the Tornadus has the safety goggles as its item, unless revealed otherwise, because
getting your taunt off through the redirection seems really important.
Right. So yeah, I think that realistically we can probably expect something relatively similar to what happened last time. Could also see something a little more passive, maybe like Hitmontop plus Tornadus with like Fake Out plus Taunt. That would be kind of passive and easy to punish, so I'm not so sure we'd see anything like that, but could be interesting.
Okay, well, let's see what the leads look like then. We'll see if either of the teams make any adjustments from game 1, or if they just chalk up the play. The Zapdos does lead, Zapdos Scrafty, and we're going to see Torn and Mamoswine again. So you called that Zapdos didn't look too good into this, so do you think Jackie's has a different idea, like thinking that the Scrafty Fake Out can open up an opportunity for Zapdos to maybe take a 1v1 against Mamo?
Maybe something like Fake Out into the Tornadus to keep, because like the speed control is obviously the thing that you can't enable, right? Like you can't allow Mamoswine to be faster than Zapdos. So I'm thinking like maybe Fake Out into the Torn and like Max Lightning into it. If Zapdos ain't holding a Yachi Berry, then my guess is it isn't going to be a super big fan of taking Mamoswine Max Hailstorm.
If it's offensive enough, if it's offensive enough, do you think like 2 Zapdos Max Airstreams can do in a Max Mamo? Because if they fake out the Torn and get an Airstream off on Mamo, then they're faster than it. Zapdos is faster than Torn and Mamo for the second turn, right?
Right. That could be a reasonable play to go for then. Mamoswine has kind of shit special defense, but the HP, just the sheer HP it gets from Dynamax, could maybe allow for that. My guess is no, because Mamoswine ain't that guy, but I think that Zapdos can actually kill it with 2 Airstreams, especially if it's like holding a Life Orb or a Sharp Beak or something like that. So alright, I guess we'll see. Obviously the Fake Out into the Torn and then a couple of Dynamaxes are more than likely on their way here.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if we see any pivoting. Max Torn.
Whoa.
But Fake Out goes into the Mamo.
Called. Perfect.
And the Airstream goes into Zapdos. So they were...
Oh,
is that a Scar... Wait, no, Mamo's Life Orb, right?
Yeah,
we've seen that Life Orb. Okay, so that's a very slow Zapdos then, because Mamo went faster.
Well, yeah.
Right, because Mamo flinched before the Thunderbolt, so that's probably a slower, bulkier, more defensive Zapdos.
That's so whack. What the fuck? What the fuck was the turn 1? Like, I don't get it. Why? Like, if this person had just airstream or Dynamax the Mamoswine and on for Tailwind with Tornadus, I really felt like Ilyakko would have just been in a game-winning position.
Yeah, the hailstorm. Like, I guess they would have. Yeah, I mean, I guess they would have lost Torn to Zapdos, but assuming Mamo doesn't just outright kill Zapdos, maybe they're just maybe the Zapdos is like EV'd to like take the hits from the Mamo, and that was something they kind of banked on, but.
Yeah, that's a very strange play from me personally. I don't know if I agree with Ilyakko's choice there, but I mean,
it's kind of strange all around for everyone. But I'm not even sure who it worked out better for.
Yeah, that's real.
Like they're down a Dynamax turn now. But they do have the speed boost on the Mamoswine. It is going to outspeed this entire team here. The Nihilakos definitely don't have speed control, but Torn can't take another Thunderbolt, right? So. And Scrafty's still at 100%, so it can probably still threaten the Mamo.
Yeah, with like close combat or potentially Drain Punch. I'm not so sure. I would guess probably Drain Punch on a Moxie set, but I'm not sure Drain Punch would kill. Scrafty's not that strong.
Yeah, it does need some help to get in that range. But there's a Hailstorm. It is Yachi.
Yep,
Hail comes up. Superpower takes down Scrafty instantly.
Crazy.
And then Zapdos is going to... Zapdos does clear out the Torn, though. So Torn goes down.
Now Mamoswine is fucking worthless now, so...
Yeah, it's got the attack and defense drops. You get the kill in the Scrafty, but now you're... The insects are down their Dynamax, right? Like, the Nihilagos could still... There's probably a Marowak or a Copperajah just, like, raring in the wings here. It's scary.
Yeah, I think this is a reverse Dynamax sweep from Jackie's end. Like, you bring in something, you max it.
I could see Dusclops coming in first, though, wanting to set TR, because even with the attack drop, it's pretty scary to bring Copperajah or Marowak hard in against Mamoswine without speed control.
Yeah, and it would also be good to bring one of the two, or to bring the TR setter in, just in case Ilyakko decides to send in Hitmontop for Intimidate.
Yeah. I imagine that we could see something like that here. Slowbro comes in, and then it is the Dusclops. Dusclops is going to frisk that, finds a policy, going to find the Life Orb on the Mamo. We're going to see a round of Hail. Yeah, Hail chips down here. Do you think we just see the Dusclops set Trick Room, and then Jackie kind of hopes that Zapdos faints? It could still be a Volt Switch Zapdos or something, too, to try and pivot in one of the threats, but I wouldn't want to...
If it's bulky Zapdos, Volt Switch could be okay, but it is risky to try to go for that.
Yeah, well, Mamo is going first, right, with the speed boost, so it would be a pretty safe play here. Slowbro...
Yeah, I think just trying to go for a T-Bolt into Slowbro to get some chip on it would probably be good. Just, you want to get things into range where your Dynamax threat can take care of them.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, we have seen that the Slowbro does have fire coverage for like a Copperajah, and it's probably got psychic moves to hit Marowak fairly well. It's not that bulky on the Spit F side.
No, it's not bulky at all on the Spit F side.
Let's
let's see what happens.
Helping hand on the Zapdos. Oh, they call the Protect. Well, I guess just go for Heat Wave. Get a good chip on the Slowbro. Ice Beam will take down Zapdos.
It reveals Ice Beam for Marowak as well, so
we've seen the Ooze, we've seen the fire coverage. Obviously, the fire, you probably came a Flamethrower, Fire Blast, and now we've seen Ice Beam. Thinking the last move would probably be like either a Protect or its own Trick Room.
Yeah, my guess is probably TR. Just so like Jirachi plus Slowbro could get its TR up. But yeah, I mean, this feels like a pretty good position for, especially if it's Marowak, because Marowak's going to be faster than Slowbro here. Marowak feels like a good bring in here, but obviously we both know it's going to be one of the two max threats. So
yeah, I feel like you could have a turn where Marowak comes in, takes the kill on Slowbro, and then Dusclops sets Trick Room the same turn, so that
exactly what I was thinking. Yep.
We'll see if it's Raja or Marowak. It is the Marowak. Yeah. Hitmontop is going to come in to try and contain it a bit with him, Intimidate.
Yeah, it'll definitely help.
Oh, they dodged the icicle crash.
That's pretty huge. And
Yeah.
a steel spike.
Steel spike
So
defense boost.
kind of read the switch. I think Dusclops in a really dominant position now. Like I don't think it's gonna go down.
It's very they don't really have, like, the heat wave did what, 12%?
Yeah, it was nothing.
Yeah, and there's like a Marowak that's probably going to give it a Spidef boost. Hitmontop is not going to be that threatening. And
no, we already saw from the last game the drill run was doing like 5%, and that was to a Dusclops with no physical defense boost.
Yeah, we'll see how much the Ice Beam from Slowbro does, but I don't know if Slowbro is even going to take one Quake. No, it's coming back in at like probably 80%, assuming Regenerator, so Nightshade plus Quake, that thing's dead, right?
It's Regenerator? I mean, yeah, realistically could be. I was going to say, I think it's probably going to be the one that lets it go first.
Quick Draw?
Yeah. Oh man, even with the Intimidate, Hitmontop still proves
Just
that it fucking
dies.
sucks.
And then, yeah, the Ice Beam did 28%. Oh, it is Quick Draw.
Funny. But
yeah, Ice Beam is not doing anything without the policy.
Yeah, and just max quacks all around. That's crazy. Hitmontop is terrible.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it let me down in TGR the other day too, so I'm not here to defend it. Game 3 though.
Yeah, and it looks like going for Trick Room late game ended up being the kind of win condition that Jackie needed to go for, so...
In the wake of the kind of strange lead matchup we had Game 2 though, do you think there's likely to be any more adjustments, or do you think they might kind of lead the same thing? Because I can imagine Ilyakko could like lead the same thing and think, my lead matchup was really good, I just like got the turn wrong, and then lead the same thing.
Yeah, no, I think that the Tornadus Mamoswine lead is like relatively consistent as long as you play it decent. I don't know how Jackie adjusts here. Like obviously Scrafty lead is really good, but you don't want to set up Trick Room for Slowbro to come in on it. So I think that like going for a route that like allows you to play towards the late game Trick Room is probably better. So I think we could see Zapdos come back in again.
Yeah,
knowing
and
that it's Yachi Berry.
Yeah, they did see the Yachi, which could actually affect Ilyakko's decision, right? Like because you're set Tailwind max, like set Tailwind and then max Mamo isn't going to kill the. That's not going to kill the Zapdos if it's Yachi, right? So it could do a lot of damage in that time, especially if you lose your speed control.
Yeah, exactly.
Although we did also see that Mamo is just raw faster than Zapdos, so he might just feel like I don't even need Tailwind.
True. Yeah. We also could see something like Max Airstream on, or honestly, maybe not Max Airstream, but we know that the Tornadus has Icy Wind because the only Ice type coverage Tornadus gets is Icy Wind, and we saw Max Hailstorm off of Torn from the last game. So like realistically, an Icy Wind plus Mamoswine play could be in order. Obviously, you have to worry about Fake Out there, but yeah, I do think that Zapdos plus Scrafty will probably be the lead that Jackie goes for here.
Icy Wind to proc the Yachi early could be very good.
Right, just have to worry about Fake Out.
Counteract potential Airstream.
Probably same leads.
Probably same leads. Let's see. Guess. Zapdos, Scrafty, Torn, and Mamo. Yep. So same leads. I think we'll just play this one out. I think we're kind of expecting the same. Airstream. Scrafty fucking eats.
Yeah.
That's not even an AV. That's Citrus.
Yeah, reveal Citrus after all this time.
So Scrafty lives the hit. Oh wait, Scrafty's still attacking. Scrafty didn't fake out at all. Never mind.
Oh yeah, it didn't fake out. And went for crunch on a Torn. That crunch doesn't really matter.
No, they called the protect. It just means they called the protect, right? But still, it seems kind of like it doesn't seem like it's bad for Ilyakko. Like you could, I guess.
Yeah, like Airstream plus like Icicle Crash into Zapdos. It's like the only real thing. Like you don't want to do what you did last time and give Mamoswine your special defense drops. Or not special defense drops, defense and attack drop from Superpower. You don't want to do that again.
Yeah, but Scrafty's at 28% this time, so it's not going to have to click Superpower, right? Like it can click Crash or Horsepower or something.
I don't think Tornadus really has anything better to do than go for another max airstream into Scrafty, though.
Yeah, I think you're right,
Realistically,
and Mamo gets pops the Yachi.
yeah, and like not only are you putting yourself in a position where you're killing Scrafty, you're also like you said, you're proccing Yachi with Mamo, and then you're still faster than a +1 airstream boosted Zapdos if it decides to go for airstream into Tornadus on this turn. So all around, I think that like airstream into Scrafty and Icicle Crash is the best play. But honestly, if you're running Mamoswine, you should always just run Icicle Spear because that plays around Yachi Berry, and I'll stand by that.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see that. I think Torn is probably going to go down here. I think they might just click Thunderbolt on it again and try for a late max sweep with like this, like in the same vein that they won game 2. But let's see how it plays out.
Likely, yeah.
Hailstorm. It is Hailstorm into the Zapdos, so they're going to try and go. Okay, but these Horsepower to finish off the Scrafty. I guess makes sense that way too. Thunderbolt takes down the Torn. So now Zapdos is definitely in kill range of Mamo's Crash now. Yeah,
definitely. But what do? Do you bring in like Slowbro here?
Yeah, they can't. You can't stop Trick Room from going up, and your Mamo's super fast.
Right.
And you don't have Max to make the Slowbro super threatening. Is like the scariest thing.
Right. Like the only thing that Slowbro is really doing that's of like any value here is like if you have Trick Room on Slowbro,
yeah,
you could potentially try to take the risk and read the turn. Like go for Trick Room.
Yes, to turn it back off, hit the off switch.
Yeah, and it like gives you a fighting chance, but. If it's Slowbro plus Hitmontop in the back, I just feel like that's too passive, and that was like revealed in the last game is that combo is too passive. So, and obviously like Jolteon and Jirachi are not very strong damage dealers either. So I'm just like very worried about this team's ability to do damage at this point.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. Yeah, we'll see.
Obvious Dusclops switch in here for Jackie.
Like, yeah, and then it's just a matter of how's Ilyakko going to counter it. So Hitmontop coming out, I don't know if that's going to do a lot.
No.
If they find the AV and the Hitmontop and the Life Orb and the Mamo. Like,
AV Hitmontop is a bold choice.
I guess you could fake out Zapdos, get paralyzed, and then outslow them and Trick Room.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but AV Hitmontop is kind of bad in my opinion. Like, all of the best Trick Room sweepers on this team are all physical attackers from what I can tell. So that's an odd choice for me.
Yeah, it feels like Ilyakko's fallen on the back foot. Like, I think... Yeah, I think Jackie definitely had the read in the first turn play. And I guess it feels like it's worked out in their favor. Like, getting Dusclops in this situation feels really, really hard for Ilyakko to take care of. Slowbro might be in the back, but it didn't kill anything last time.
Didn't do shit. And yeah, at this point, like, Jackie made a really good adjustment by just, like, recognizing that Dusclops early game wasn't it, and Dusclops mid game was way better. So, yeah, really good adjustment on their behalf. And yeah, now you get to see the fruits of that.
Yeah, the lead Zapdos has just applied so much pressure to the Torn, and then the Torn seems to be their only real way to stop Trick Room from going up and stop Dusclops from being a menace.
Right, and they keep Dynamaxing it. I don't get it.
But it's a hard pivot to the Slowbro. Zapdos protects, dodges a Crash, and this is going to be a free Trick Room.
Trick Room.
Actually, yeah, because Zapdos is a whole lot slower than Mamoswine right now. So
I think it might be in range of Slowbro Ice Beam, though.
Maybe it's been a pretty bulky Zapdos, and we saw that Ice Beam was doing... It did like 20% to Dynamax Marowak, so that's like 40% regular. Zapdos feels like it has to be bulkier than a Marowak.
Wasn't the Marowak at +1 special defense boost from the quack that it did into the Hitmontop, though?
I think the first... It might have been... I can't remember if it was after the Steel Spike or the Squake. Either way, I've played my share of singles. Zapdos is very bulky. I bet it lives in Ice Beam.
Zapdos K is no joke, so I'll yeah, even if it's Ice Beam.
Quick draw.
Oh, quick draw.
Helping Hand. Ice Beam comes in. Oh nope, they do get the kill. Okay, that's
pretty okay. Honestly, though, it's just It's just a free switch into Big Whack though. And
Yeah.
if it's Copper Aja, then probably even better, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I don't love the helping hand though, because I don't know Jackie's defensive calcs and Zapdos, but Jackie does, right? And they've seen how much damage the Slowbro does, like they have the rolls. I don't like banking your helping hand when I feel like at this turn, at this stage, you're probably aware of the fact that Ice Beam at least threatens to kill your Zapdos.
Right.
And it's quick draw too, and it's also a Slowbro in Trick Room, right? I feel like you taking the opportunity to get chip on one of these Pokemon with Nightshade.
Yeah, helping hand is greedy, and it's not like you're hiding information by using either attack. So
yeah, the Slowbro's not regen, right? So like chip on the Slowbro sticks.
I wonder what that Dusclops' last move is that we've seen. Helping hand, Trick Room, and Nightshade. Makes you wonder, is it like pain? It's obviously not Pain Split.
It's not Will-O-Wisp.
Will-O-Wisp, so
like if it was Will-O-Wisp, that Mamoswine would have a nice orange debuff right now.
Exactly.
I hope.
So yeah, it makes me wonder like what that fourth attack is and why it isn't getting used.
Hail crashes down. Like Dusclops is at 50%. We're gonna see the Dynamax Marowak for sure, but now this like the Hitmontop Intimidate cycles. This is probably gonna. The Ice Beam comes down 30%.
Yeah, Max Quack's just gonna take it out.
They kill the Slowbro, and then
you get a free turn to Helping Hand Steel Spike on the next turn into this Mamoswine. Even if it protects, it doesn't really matter because you just get to Steel Spike again.
Yeah, so. It's still slower. The Intimidate's not cutting it down that much. Not with the Helping Hand.
Right.
And Hitmontop can't fake out the Marowak. Yeah, I thought they might be in trouble, but no, I feel like you had to just attack with the Mamoswine, right? Like,
right. You need as much if you can get a Ice Beam and an Icicle Crash into Marowak there, then like really good damage at that point, and then you get your Hitmontop like pivot switch in.
Yeah, I guess it's like reasonable to call that they might be trying that they're gonna go for the kill in like the Mamoswine because it is the more threatening Pokemon, and like pivoting Hitmontop in on a Steel Spike makes sense. But
yeah, just a read they didn't get it.
Yeah, tough spot to be because even if you make that right read, I think it's still a tough spot to be in because like I don't think Mamo kills the walk, but Slowbro could get the Ice Beam later, so.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
But the Mamoswine does come down. We'll probably see the Steel Rock Quake into the Hitmontop.
Oh, it was reading Protect. Oh, interesting.
Oh, but it's gonna go. No, Hail times out.
Oh man.
It's the last turn of Hail. So Hail. I thought I was gonna die to Hail, but.
Out. I don't love that play on Jockey's behalf, to be honest. I don't understand the point of that.
A really aggressive read in the Protect, and I don't even think you needed to, right? Like you still Steel Spike it.
Yeah, and then you get your defense boost. Marowak has good physical defense, and Hitmontop ain't gonna do shit for nothing into it. You just kind of ignore Hitmontop and let Dusclops deal with it later.
Yeah, it's like you still would have gotten the chip. You would have gotten the Steel Spike boost, so you could potentially take a Crash safer later if you need to, but you have 2 turns of Trick Room to work with.
Right, like there was no reason to not just like double Steel Spike into Mamoswine, even if it protected the first one. I don't agree with that play, but it looks like they're
gonna get rewarded. Hail ends, and Marowak's gonna get that. Yeah, we'll see how much the Steel Spike would do here.
Will do enough,
yeah,
and plus Dusclops will just win this end game out with raw bulk.
It should get. They protect. Ooh,
really aggressive Protect.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you get I guess if you think you always get the Trick Room up, but you could have been flinched, right? Like that's Crash. That's 30% flinch chance.
Yeah.
Scary endgame. I think Jackie got a lot of read. It felt like they got a lot of really like aggressive reads right early in the first 2 games. So I guess they just. I mean, they were on a hot streak, right? But I think those reads at the end of the game nearly cost them. This was a lot closer than it needed to be.
I definitely agree with that. I felt like they were in a really dominant position and almost fumbled it away. But like you said, they got bailed out, which yeah, they definitely did. So that was a good set though. Really nice back and forth there. The one thing I just don't get is the Dynamax Torn. Like I don't know, it didn't feel like it was doing enough. For me personally,
Yeah,
but
it felt like Ilyakko just really didn't want to play in a game with Scrafty in it. Like, I guess if Ilyakko values removing Scrafty more than they value like having their own Dynamax, then like, I guess that makes sense from that perspective, right? Because they were trading Torn plus Dynamax for Scrafty, plus damage and plus chip on Zapdos every time. But the late game Trick Room sweepers, man, those they didn't mess around.
The thing is though that honestly Trick Room was better for Ilyakko because they had the weakness policy Dynamax mod, and that like worked well under Trick Room. So it just like didn't make much sense to like throw your Tornadus and your Dynamax away, in the first couple of turns, because you want your weakness policy Pokemon to be Dynamaxing. That's like typically how it works. So. I don't know.
Especially because the Slowbro was still coming to the games. It definitely after it didn't work the second game, I'm surprised to see them like go by the same strategy the third game.
Right. But yeah, very good VGC set. Pretty cool teams from both sides.
Yeah, Jackie earns the W there, and with that we move on to the second game in the series, which is going to be the Nihilegos Spades, their mid-season substitution, versus YoMomOnToast, the Invading Insects 6v6 doubles player. Now Spades, I think Spades is mostly at a pretty dominant run. I know Spades won the first few games that came in, then there was a couple losses mid-season. But I think through playoffs, Spades has also been like killing it. I mean, the whole Nihilegos like squad was just killing it through playoffs, but
yeah, and I mean the team that Spades brought, this just looks like so good, like good damage. Just like the team that Spades has feels like it has good Pokemon, and the team that YoMomOnToast has, I'm just gonna call them Toast because that's a lot of syllables. The team that Toast has just like feels like Jirachi and a bunch of not good Pokemon. So I'm definitely like leaning more towards like Spades' odds here, just because like Spades has the good Pokemon and Toast has like 1.5 good Pokemon, because Hydreigon is like okay sometimes.
Yeah, it feels like this team went like didn't. It feels like the insects here didn't fully commit, right? Like I would understand Wigglytuff if I saw Gothitelle or what, Gothorita.
Yeah.
If I saw Gothorita, and like I think Perish Trap was like a reasonable thing to try and do against some of these more defensive Pokemon in Spades team, like Perish Trapping. Well, not the Dusclops because it's a ghost, but the like Perish Trapping the Milotic, especially with the way they play Perish Trap with all the protecting and the ally switching throughout the season. Like that's been like their go-to Perish Trap strat in both VGC and doubles. But
yeah, no Gothorita here, which is like kind of bad news. I see 2 evolutions, and they're like 2 of the not as good evolutions.
Yeah,
like,
I just look at
from what I can tell, this is a team of really good singles bonds, but like a lot of these Pokemon just like they're not strong enough. They're not like.
Let's not get crazy calling like Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Wigglytuff singles all-stars here. Like Torn T is a fantastic singles Pokemon, and Jirachi and like Hydreigon are very solid Pokemon as well. But I like Vaporeon, but like it's a Vaporeon. There's a Milotic like here on the other side.
I was gonna say it's just like it feels like a much worse like just water type like in general. Like it's like typically like. Whenever I see it in Draft League, it's like the budget water, like the budget bulky water, and then it like gets 2-code by stuff. So
yeah, I mean, the insects have had a great team, right? And they've like made the run to finals, but I feel like some of like their best Pokemon too, like Mamoswine, just has done so much of the heavy lifting to this team offensively, in a lot of matches, and it's not here, right? And then they don't. And then, like when they've run bulkier teams, they've utilized Perish Trap to like remove things in bursts, right, and remove problematic defensive Pokemon that they can't break through. When they can stall out the other ones, but they don't have that tool here either, right? So just it leaves me concerned for how they're gonna break through some of the bulky Pokemon in Spades team. Like Leftovers Milotic, you've got a Jolteon, but like Jolteon doesn't have that much firepower. It's a 2-hit KO at best.
Yeah. Definitely a 2-hit KO from what I'm seeing. And yeah, even like Dusclops looks really problematic too, right? Like Hydreigon maybe has a chance to like helping hand Specs Dark Pulse Oko it, but then like at that point you have to be really concerned about like Scarf Tapu Lele. So yeah, overall I'm just like I'm not really like I just feel very concerned for the team with Jirachi plus 5 versus the team of good Pokemon. So
Yeah, what kind of leads do you think we'll see?
well, it's 6v6. This is not a format I'm as familiar with, but if I were to guess, like Spades will probably lead something relatively aggressive, maybe like an aggressive Trick Room lead. Potentially just like lead double legendary as well. That feels like not super bad here. Scrafty,
Yeah.
I changed my mind.
Yeah.
Scrafty feels like a really important lead here.
Yeah, it feels very safe.
Yeah, so I feel like, you know, you have Scrafty. Like, I feel like Scrafty Dusclops is probably like the lead I can foresee on Spades' behalf. And then, like, I don't know what Toast could lead. Like, maybe Jirachi, like something with Taunt. If Torn has Taunt, then that. If Hydreigon has Taunt, then that. Like, otherwise, like, I'm not really seeing the counterplay. Jirachi's not even really safe here because of Scrafty just being a good dark type. So
Right off the bat, like an AV Scrafty looks like a very difficult prospect for this team to beat, right? Like there's a lot of things that Scrafty can drain punch, like for neutral or super effective damage, and they're all like this whole team special attackers. And the fairy's a Wigglytuff. I am using Wigglytuff as we speak in Nest Ball, and it's a good Pokemon in the low tier division. But that Dazzling Gleam does not do a lot of damage.
they didn't give this Mon Moonblast, and it really suffers for it because, like, with Moonblast, I think you have much better odds with your calcs, but Dazzling Gleam is not very strong.
And if it's just an Intimidate Scrafty to proc the competitive, then yeah, for sure be a threat. But I think we're going to see here that they really have been favoring that Moxie.
And to be honest, there's no physical attacker to Intimidate anyway, so...
Yeah, Scrafty, Dusclops, you're on the money, and then it is going to be Wigglytuff coming in. Maybe they were fishing for that competitive boost, but...
Yeah, they don't get it. And, I mean, Tornadus is there to lead with, like, Taunt, probably. I would assume Tornadus has Taunt, but it's just going to get faked out here, so...
Yeah, fake out in the Torn seems pretty obvious. You get your free Trick Room up right that way. Wigglytuff can click Dazzling Gleam, but if that's an AV Scrafty, I don't think that's killing.
Yeah, it's gonna eat it, and then the next turn you have a relatively free switch into like Milotic or something. So
yeah, they see the Violet. We see all their items. Torn is safety goggles. There's not even a Tangrowth here, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Right. Knock off into the Dusclops. Okay.
Knock off? No way.
That's singles Wigglytuff.
Yo.
Well.
Knock off. So is it like a mixed set, like knockoff and Dazzling Gleam?
Yeah, you just run knockoff the item removal. We used to run knockoff when that move was like 10 base power.
Yeah, it was 20 base power, I remember. And it didn't get a boost from knocking off an item either. Knockoff was down horrific until Gen 6.
Yeah, but you know what? Gen 3 Hariyama used to knock off those lefties. let T-Tar-san do the work.
That's true. T-Tar's a menace. But yeah, like now like you get a free switch out with your Tornadus, get some regen boost. That's cool. If Wigglytuff has D-Gleam, it probably goes for it here. Just that, you know, Wigglytuff is relatively safe from Dusclops just because Clops can't hit normal types, not super easily.
Yeah, it's not going down in one hit to Scrafty for sure. I feel like.
Right. And so you get a free chance to D-Gleam here, get some good chip onto Scrafty, and then bring in something that has a better matchup versus, you know, Dusclops versus Scrafty. Maybe bring in that Vaporeon for Tornadus. That's like the only thing or maybe bring in the Hydreigon. Both of those are like potential options. So I don't know. Really awkward spot here. But at least you got the Eviolite knocked off, so that's good. I guess.
You've definitely got to play defensively to his Trick Room turns. Now that the Dusclops Eviolite is gone, then like it's easier to just remove it with damage. So we'll see here, though. I think it's pretty like it seems almost certain that Scrafty be packing like either Iron Head or Poison Jab to hit the Wigglytuff, right? Like you have like you're fighting Dark and then something that hits the Fairy.
Yeah, and we can assume it's like probably AV, so you have like fake out stabs and like you said, stab to hit Fairy, so or coverage to hit Fairy. My guess is probably Iron Head because that at
Flinch
least
chance?
can do damage. Well, that and it can do damage to Jirachi, if it comes down to that. But yeah, flinch chance is also way nicer than poison proc. So we'll see.
Yeah, let's see. Torn stays in.
Oh,
We get the toss.
Seismic toss.
Yeah, makes sense.
Rocks.
And see ya, Torn. I told you, it's a singles Wigglytuff.
Where's the dazzling gleam at? I'm so confused. Well, now
I feel like that crit might have mattered though. Like Torn is still pretty bulky, and it is coming from a Scrafty.
yeah, we were looking at probably like 60 some percent, 61%. It's a stab move and pretty strong. My guess is the crit matters 100% because now you get the Moxie boost and now your Scrafty is a sweeper. But Seismic Toss is interesting. I guess he has that specifically as a replacement for Nightshade just because of Wigglytuff.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Like especially if you're facing down like Perish Trap or something, and you like there's not really there's no ghost on this team, so there's not really a gain to running Nightshade.
Right.
And yeah, I guess you probably don't get Seismic Toss in VGC currently, but it's a transfer move. But yeah, definitely seems like the better option here because there's no immunities.
Yeah, didn't even know it got it, so cool. The Stealth Rocks feels just like a wasted turn though. Like Stealth Rocks only has value if you're able to get Mons off of the board.
Yeah, this Scrafty doesn't want to go anywhere right now.
Especially like you got Dusclops and Scrafty on this board, and you're not really removing either of them, so that's pretty problematic for your Stealth Rocks.
Yeah, we said Wigglytuff could take a hit before, but if it's a +1 Scrafty with a potential Helping Hand boost, I don't know if it's taking that hit anymore.
Definitely not. Let's see what they bring in.
Yeah,
I
think we might have missed our window to fire off D-Gleams on the Scrafty, though.
Oh, 100%.
Vapo comes in, it's going to get tossed. We're going to see knockoff on the Scrafty.
Alright, I'm convinced there's no
D-Gleam on this Wigglytuff?
There's no D-Gleam. If you had D-Gleam, why wouldn't you go for it? You already know what the items are because you frisked them earlier, so it's not like this is an information game anymore. If you had D-Gleam, you would use it right there.
Yeah, it feels really weird not having the stab D-Gleam though versus like the Scrafty, but
odd.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
it goes for toxic. That's fine.
It's probably like it's probably like a Wish Protect set then.
Yeah, I feel like Yawn would honestly just be better for Toast's team because at least with Yawn you can force switch out, which like has that synergy with
the rocks. Yeah.
Yeah, so that I don't know. It feels a little bad, but
yeah, Toxic kind of does the same thing as it starts to rack up, but. Yeah, I think this Dusclops seems pretty content to like have done its job and just sit here and get more Seismic Toss chip.
Right.
I mean, like
Scrafty has.
Yeah, I mean,
let's see if Scrafty has a way to hit Wigglytuff.
Scrafty's just killing the. Yeah, Scrafty just seems. I guess Scrafty's decided that Wigglytuff also does not have D-Gleam, because it poison. Yeah, okay. I think Spades is convinced that the Wigglytuff doesn't have D-Gleam, because I can't imagine a reason why you Poison Jab for, like, the Vaporeon and not the Wigglytuff, right?
Ignore the Wigglytuff because it's not fucking doing anything, right? Like, you can see it's just knocking off into Mons that have no items, and it's set up its Stealth Rocks, so...
This is, like, major All My Friends Are Dead syndrome, except its friends aren't dead, but its friends don't have pressure.
Yeah, it's a super, Wolfie made a term for it, like an island. No, it's not an island mon. Whatever. All my friends are dead, except... Actually, it's just getting ignored. Fuck Wigglytuff, it's not doing anything right now.
Yeah, so we see I think the Poison Jab is interesting. I'm surprised you don't just go for knockoff again, because it should kill the Vaporeon.
And you're, like... You lose nothing by going for knockoff, because whatever gets switched in gets its item removed.
Yeah,
so...
that's like the beautiful thing about knockoff, right? It's so spammable. Like, you hit them once, and then the second one might do less, but it still kills. And if they try and preserve them on, then even if they switch to something that resists, you still make a ton of progress.
Yeah, you knock off that item. I don't know. Poison Jab felt really weird there, but...
Yeah, maybe they're predicting an ally switch.
Could be. Wigglytuff does get that move, so...
And they have been a team to run it. I know Ilyakko has involvement in making these teams, and he's a bigger ally switch endorser than I am.
And I think that ally switch is cringe, so...
Yeah, we'll see. I guess we're gonna see Wigglytuff use Wish. Yes, we've seen the whole turn play out. Toxic chip is going to continue. Vaporeon comes in, gets toxicked.
Oh, Dusclops is
and
toxic.
Jirachi is now crippled. U-turns. But, like, yeah, it's definitely... It feels like Cyclops and Scrafty... Yeah, like, Dusclops and Scrafty are just this immovable wall, right? And YoMomOnToast is playing, like, squash against it. Like, these Pokemon are coming in and then coming out and then coming in and coming out.
Yeah, I'm just, like, not seeing any, like, damage. I'm just, like, not seeing anything here. From what I've seen so far, like U-turn Jirachi typically means that it's, like, not really... It hasn't committed to either one thing or the other, right? Like, it hasn't fully committed to being offensive or defensive. It's probably just, like, that whack support set.
Yeah, and now it's at 16% and not supporting much of anything.
Yeah, it's gonna be able to follow me like one attack away. Unlucky.
Let's see how the last turn of Trick Room goes. I think Trick Room's over. But that even with the AV gone, that Volt Switch does 21%. And now Wigglytuff comes in and negative damage. Negative damage. And Trick Room's back up. And now you've got to deal with 4 more turns of this, right? Like, I'm not going to...
this turn, but this is...
Yeah, I'm probably not going to pause too much more because I think we're just going to see this play out, right? Like, Scrafty gets the poison jab, hits the poison.
That's a little bit lucky, but it won't kill on this turn.
It's raw poison, not toxic, right? So it's just a flat 12. But I don't think it mattered, right? Like, they don't have anything. Now Big Raj comes in. Jolteon's going to take 64%.
Yeah, it's just like you're wish passing, but your wish passing, like all of your mons are hurt, and none of them are doing any damage.
Volt turning to generate momentum only, spamming these switch moves only works if you're forcing them out. But nothing's been forced out. They've just sat here and clicked offensive moves and made progress. These Stealth Rocks have done 6%.
Yeah, so now we got Jolteon and Hydreigon, but this Scrafty's at +2. So
even if they kill everything, right? Like there's a Lele that's just gonna kill both these Pokemon with a D-Gleam.
Yeah.
Go for Flint. I think they're just going for Flint's chance at that point. Yeah. But nope, gets it all back.
High horsepower finishes it off.
Not even, right? Why miss?
Yeah, so Spades really dominant game plan there with just like Trick Room with bulky mons, and Scrafty and Dusclops stayed on the board for like how many turns was that? Like
we only saw the bottom 3 Pokemon. These 3 didn't even show up. Like Toast has no information. They could be anything. They could be boats.
Yeah,
right. But we got but Spades has a ton of information from this game, right? Like Spades knows that this Wigglytuff does not threaten Scrafty. Spades knows that Torn might be the only thing in this game that can hit this Scrafty.
Right. And I mean, if you get Trick Room up, then it isn't in any danger at that point either. So
yeah, and this Torn it's super threatened by Zapdos. It's like super threatened by Lele. It's super threatened by Copperajah. It's a scary place to be going into like this next game for Toast, right? I'm not like, I look at the matchup and like, yeah, you can say, I guess the best thing you can say to kind of psych yourself up for is like, okay, like my Torn got crit, there was like some RNG didn't go my way, but it just, after that game, I'd be feeling like, oh my god, I just did not bring the tools to win this matchup.
Yeah, like I could see like a Hydreigon lead here to try to like put pressure, because like Hydreigon's the one offensive mon I'm seeing on this squad, so like lead like Hydreigon Tornadus so that you can draw the Scrafty's attention away from Hydreigon onto Tornadus, because Tornadus threatens taunt onto Clops, and then Hydreigon threatens damage onto Clops.
Yeah, so you can't let Trick Room go up for free. Like I think that's the main takeaway.
Yeah, you have to like, and not only does Hydreigon have a chance to like crit kill Dusclops with Dark Pulse, but he also has the odds of like flinching with it as well. So
yeah,
feels like the best lead.
We do pretty much know that it's not an offensive item on the Hydreigon though, because like it did 6% to Scrafty. Obviously it's a quad resist, but I think like specs you expect more like 8% or something.
I don't know that calc. I wouldn't be surprised if specs Dark Pulse did did that minuscule of damage into Scrafty, considering how bulky it is. But
yeah, yeah, like Spades has access to the calc between matches. I wouldn't be like I would. Like if I saw like Hydreigon come in, click one Dark Pulse and then die, I'd be pulling up the calc between games, like seeing seeing the rolls.
Even then, if you see Hydreigon lead from Toast with Scrafty Dusclops, you can just say fuck it and
Savior.
Move Dusclops away from the board, switch in like Milotic or Lele or something, and then just like do Drain Punch into Hydreigon for damage. So like either way, it's the best Toast has, but like Spades has counterplay for it. So
yeah, it's a scary place to be in, and a scary place to be a bug right now. Hope game 1 was a bit of a fumigation, so hopefully game 2, rebuild the anthill a bit. We see Torn Hydreigon, so you did call it. You called the adjustment. Yeah, and Scrafty Dusclops. So let's see if they follow your play, right? So let's taunt plus attack into the Dusclops. So Spades just pivot out the Dusclops.
Yeah, let's see if that happens.
They frisk the. It's also safety goggles.
It's double safety goggles.
Lele comes out. You can still fake out both these mons. They're not grounded.
Yep. Touche. So fakes out the Torn.
They get.
Oh, it's taunt on Hydreigon too, but that taunt isn't gonna do anything for Lele because Lele is the threat.
Lele says, "Oh, you've invited me to your match? I'm so glad. I didn't get to play in the last one because you all died too fast. But I will happily kill you now."
Yeah, I mean, you could switch out into Rachi, who's like the only fairy switch out, but also Rachi isn't really safe on switching either because Scrafty is a mon that's on this board.
Yeah, Scrafty can take a hit from Torn, right? I feel like this is just like a D-Gleam plus knockoff into the Hydreigon slot every time.
Super, super easy D-Gleam knockoff here, especially because we know it's not Rosalie Berry. With Rosalie Berry or maybe even AV, you have a chance at living D-Gleam. Rosalie Berry for sure, but AV maybe not.
The Jirachi does come down. Okay, they just go for the. Looks like they're just going for the kill on the Torn. Nope. They compromise.
Well, yeah, they split it. Actually, that's kind of just a hard read. That's a hard read switch out into Rachi, because they optimized it. They optimized their damage output by T-bolting into Torn. And I just based off of the look at it's Toxic Tornadus, which makes me think that this is also not an incredibly offensive Tornadus set.
Yeah, and Torn's gonna like try and cycle out here for some regen, but that just means, I mean, Lele might be forced out, but it might not be, right? Like this could we don't know anything. Toast doesn't know anything about this Lele set, right? Because all you've seen is whatever the damage rolls from Thunderbolt, but like it could be Scarf, it could be Babiri, like it could be a lot of things, right?
Depending on how fast this Tornadus investment is, right? Like the Lele T-bolted before Tornadus Toxic.
Yeah, so it's probably Scarf. Yeah,
which would make sense because that kind of covers for Hydreigon. So Lele's probably switched out here just based on the fact that
you don't want to get Iron-Headed.
And Spades needs it later, so there's no reason to not switch Dusclops in for that.
Yeah,
or Zapdos. Zapdos is safe too.
Yeah, you know Hydreigon's not Scarf, so as long as Lele's in here, you're not scared of Hydreigon, and Hydreigon is the only threat in this team.
Right, so I think that Spades probably switches out to either Zapdos or Clops and just like continues to do damage with Scrafty.
Yeah, Static Zapdos seems like a super safe defensive switch in. Oh yeah, Clops too, right? Get Trick Room up, Frisk the goggles again. Jolteon, and then we see it's Wish Jirachi, and then Jolteon eats a knockoff. This Scrafty.
So we know it's Wish Protect on Rachi because we saw that from the last time.
Yeah.
And then we also saw U-turn. So my guess is like Wish Protect, U-turn, Ironhead.
What are you wish passing to? There's no threats to position.
Jolteon, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
this Scrafty just keeps clicking knockoff because nothing kills it.
Yeah, unlucky. Yeah, I don't know what you do here. You probably protect your Rachi and like Toxic, Jolteon Toxic into the Dusclops.
Like Spades,
I assume.
Like Spades named this hoodlum Scrafty, but you're gonna have to change the nickname because this isn't like this Scrafty is just like the oligarchy of this game, right? Like all of these Pokemon on the Insects team, they're just paying their taxes, right? Like Jolteon, oh here, yep, you can take my leftovers for Scrafty. Jolteon, oh please Scrafty, take my leftovers. Right? Like have mercy on me, like.
Yeah, it's funny.
Oh my god, they're all and the Scrafty's like Trick Room is gonna go up, right? Like nothing here can like Trick Room's gonna go up. Nothing can threaten this Scrafty. Like this Jirachi's doesn't have Moonblast.
It potentially like we don't know the last move, so it could have like Giggling.
It could have Moonblast, but
Jirachi doesn't get Moonblast.
It gets Moonblast.
There's no way.
As a transfer move, I've used Moonblast Jirachi.
Oh, transfer moves.
Yeah, right. It's 6v6, right? So we get all the transfer moves in here.
Well, I know that. I just didn't know it got it as a transfer move. It's random.
Yeah, I think because it used to like I think there might have been a Moonblast tutor or something from that gen. I just know I've clicked Moonblast with Pixie Plate Jirachi.
I believe it, but yeah, my guess is the Jolteon will probably either like Volt Switch into the Clops, or it'll Toxic into it, one of the two. Rachi's gonna 100% go for Protect here, so...
Yeah, if Clops is gonna get up Trick Room, and Scrafty's probably just gonna knock off into the Jolteon slot again.
And no reason not to.
It might still kill.
Yeah.
So you see the Poison Tick. Oh, no, just hard into Copperaja. Volt Switch eats sense. That. That's probably AV. Vaporeon comes in.
Oh, double switch.
Oh, okay. Heals up the Jolteon, but
okay.
Yeah, this Jolteon, these two Pokemon against Trick Room Copperaja, it's.
Yeah, I mean Vaporeon isn't in the worst spot if it has like Scald right now, because it can just start Scald spamming into the Copperaja, maybe fish for a burn, but I think we've already seen it has like Flip Turn and Wish and Toxic, so the odds of it having Scald as its last move are probably not super high. And then yeah, Jolteon it's in a lot of danger right now, like high horsepower. You could switch out into Tornadus, but that's like equally risky too.
Yeah, and meanwhile this Dusclops just like free to either like make small progress with like Seismic Toss, or it can just go like they can go hard to Scrafty. Yeah.
And it also has Toxic too, so you can just Toxic into the Vaporeon to start breaking that wall down a little bit. Yeah. Also, Copperaja gets Wild Charge. It either gets Wild Charge or Power Whip. It might get both.
It gets Whip. I don't think it gets Wild Charge, but it definitely could Power Whip this Vaporeon.
Yeah, so like neither one of these mons are safe because of Copperaja's just like kind of obscene coverage.
Yeah, and this mon is like super fast right now thanks to Trick Room. So I think Toast is gonna have to play very defensively around this. And there's 4 turns of Trick Room left to go, and this thing is slower than your entire team.
Yeah, rough spot.
So we do see the Torntea. They call the Horsepower. Toxic goes on Vapo. High Horsepower misses the Vaporeon, so they. And that's going to be a Toxic, on the Dusclops. So we trade Toxic on the defensive Pokemon. And then Vaporeon, I think Vaporeon gets pretty lucky dodging the high horsepower. Like, it's not stab, but that was going to do a chunk.
Yeah, I would guess like probably 30 or like 40% from that high horsepower. So yeah, lucky miss. And I mean...
Repaid a bit for that early crit in the first game.
I don't know really what you go for here, though. Like, you can flip turn out into the Copperaja, I guess. Maybe switch Tornadus out into something, but I'm not really sure even what you'd switch Tornadus out into either. So actually I bet Vaporeon goes for Wish here. That's my guess, is Vaporeon goes for Wish, so that can get some HP back on Jirachi.
Yeah, we could see like a hard switch back into Jirachi, but I think they probably want to get the Wish off on Jirachi.
Right.
Yeah, Torn might just die here,
or switch into Hydreigon, one of the two.
Toss on the Vaporeon, so they're just keeping it down a bit.
Miss Rock Slide.
Okay, yeah, definitely getting paid back a bit for that RNG in the first game. This Torn has no business being alive.
Yeah.
That's a sheer force Rock Slide.
Yeah, we don't know if it's not Life Orb because we didn't see any Life Orb chips, so
I think
we're,
it's
probably AV.
I think it's AV based on like the volt switch damage we saw earlier. Like, Copper does not actually have a good Spit F stat, so if it's taking that little, it's got to be AV.
Yeah, and I mean you get a taunt onto Dusclops, but like it's not really doing a whole lot because you're not like you're not using non-damaging attacks. He's just spamming Seismic Toss, so.
Yeah, and Vaporeon, like you wanted to potentially flip turn to pass that wish, right? But you can't really do that now. You're gonna like lose your Vaporeon if you do that.
Yeah, I think Vaporeon's gonna either have to protect or raw switch out into something.
Yeah, I could
Nothing's
see.
really wanting to raw switch out into high horsepower.
Yeah,
So.
it's like a pretty safe switch into like, or it's like high horsepower into Vapo is like a pretty safe click here, just to like keep it down and prevent the wish pass. If YoMom really wanted to call it, they could go like High Dragon there, but that play is like really bad if they go for Rock Slide. We do get the taunt. Yeah, the taunt on that. Vaporeon is just going to protect for that recovery. Dusclops is going to keep the Torn down, and we're going to see this should be a kill with the Rock Slide, yeah. Yep. And then Vaporeon heals up, but Toxic takes its toll, right? You're at 59%. Okay, so we're turn 7. Okay, this was... Oh, right, so they've missed the Rock Slide. We're just wrapping up this turn. So the Rock Slide happened. Tornadus died. Yeah, so Tornadus just goes down. The Vapo's going to get healed up, but... Yeah, we're going to have to see Wigglytuff come in. But yeah, this Vaporeon is still... It's sitting at 59%, right? Like, it hasn't made much progress from where it was last turn.
No. Also, I can't see the game.
Oh, right, I have to show recording.
I would certainly appreciate it. Epic. Okay.
Yeah, so... Yeah, we get confirmation on the Assault Vest from the Copperaja. And we have Wigglytuff and Vaporeon. There's one turn of Trick Room left.
Well, since everything else on this team has Protect, I guess it's like relatively safe to assume that Wigglytuff also has Protect. Obviously it doesn't have D-Gleam. We know it has Rocks, Knockoff, and what was it, Toxic?
Yeah, probably.
So like relatively safe to assume that it can Protect here. Otherwise, the switch in just like doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it feels like a tough spot, right? Like this Vaporeon is definitely in range of being 2-hit KO'd by like a horsepower plus an S-Toss. Like the Toxic is ticking for 25%.
Yeah, doing a lot. You don't really have a safe switch into that double up either.
Nope.
Now, I mean, this if there was any turn to switch Hydreigon in, this would definitely be the turn to switch Hydreigon in for Vaporeon, because at least like you have pressure onto Dusclops on the next turn.
Trick Room's ending. Dusclops is going to be at 44%. Like, you're going to kill it with like the Dark Pulse for sure. I feel like you have to make an aggressive play like that, right? Like, you need something to take back momentum in this game, because as is, like, you've been just cycling defensive Pokemon, but you've lost your Torn, your Jirachi's at less than half, your Vaporeon's at 59%, and Toxic. Like, at some point, you need to just like find a way to seize some initiative in the game and like at least prevent Trick Room from going back up, right? Like these Scrafty and Copperaja might become manageable if they're not in Trick Room. And there's still like a Lele and a Zapdos and a Milotic to worry about, but you need to solve the problem in front of you first.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, I think you switch Hydreigon in, and I honestly think like a double switch could be reasonable. Like switch into Vaporeon out for Hydreigon, switch Wigglytuff out for like Jirachi maybe. Could be an okay option.
Yeah, get your Hydreigon in with some redirection.
Right. Feels like the best play. I don't really know.
Yeah, I can see that. We'll see the Protect come from the Wigglytuff. And it looks like Vaporeon, I guess, is just clicking Wish. It's going to get it up. Or no, it's flip turning out. So we'll probably see Hydreigon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you get your Hydreigon in. That's going to... Dusclops, switches out. Scrafty's going to eat up the Dark Pulse. 5%.
Free switch out. Misses player off.
He's getting very lucky, and it's keeping him afloat. The play rough on the High Dragon, it might not have killed, but that High Dragon would. I mean.
No, because play rough has a secondary.
Oh
effect,
yeah, that's
so
a sheer force play rough.
Yeah, that's definitely killing.
It was probably killing.
Yeah, but I mean, Vaporeon is fucking worthless right now. Like, it can't toxic the Copperajah. Like, it's already toxic to the Scrafty. Yeah. It's literally just not doing anything right now.
But like, the Dusclops been switched out, and now this High Dragon doesn't threaten either of these Pokemon, right? Like, they both have an AV.
Yep. And even if you have a fire type of attack to hit Copperajah with, like, if you wanted to, you could just switch Copperajah out into Tapu Lele for like so free right here.
Yeah, I think we might see a switch like that, but I think we might also just see these Pokemon attack, like, recognize that they're not being threatened.
Right.
Like,
I could see it.
Like, the poison ticks are gonna happen. Yeah, they go. High Dragon goes hard. Wigglytuff, he doesn't think he can stay in with it, and like, that's been like the problem the whole time, right? Is Toast has not felt like he could keep his High Dragon in to attack anything. And now you lose the Vaporeon, right? Like, Spades knows he's gonna scare out the High Dragon, and he just doubles into the Vaporeon.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're down to 4 Pokemon, and now, like, you've got this defensive team, but there's always cracks, right? Like, you have nothing. Like,
I mean, this was kind of over from the start, but
like, what takes the Steel move now?
Yeah. And nothing that takes a Steel move can take either a ground move or a dark move off of Scrafty. So
yeah, like Spades can just spend like this entire game basically clicking Iron Head plus like a fighting move or a dark move, and
he'll be fine.
Yeah, this Wigglytuff is not scaring out the Scrafty. High Dragon comes back in, but it just comes out because.
They switch into Clops.
Yeah, and now they're gonna get Trick Room up.
You knock off the AV. Well, he gets the play right, but I don't know if you have enough damage on. I mean, the obvious play is to double up into Dusclops here. Like, there's nothing really to read because that's the only play that can prevent Trick Room from going up. So.
Yeah, we're gonna see the Volt Switch go out here, and then, nope. Trick Room's gonna go up. Trick Room's gonna go up, and this Dusclops will die to poison. And now there's 2 threats in again.
Yeah, free switch into Scrafty.
And your High Dragon has to leave.
Yep. You play rough into Jolteon probably. That'll kill it.
Yeah, and there's 4 turns of Trick Room. Like, yeah, there's gonna be like this now. You're gonna redirect, but Spades knows the redirection is coming.
Super free double up here, and High Dragon
gets the read.
Just gonna
Flamethrower. It kills. Okay, you've killed the AV Copperajah, but
now, like, Milo comes in, and this is a wrap here. Ice Beam. Oh, Raw Hypnosis.
Just gotta let him know, eh?
A lot of damage to be dealt there from High Dragons, and
I think that's just Spades wanting to give the kill to Scrafty, because holy shit, Scrafty and Copperajah were just monsters in this series, right? Like,
and Dusclops too.
Yeah.
Like that Trick Room trio just like was impossible to break.
Like these 3 did not even show up in the first game, and in the second game, like, Lele clicked a Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
Like, this was like, yeah, I mean, it's the grand finals, right? This is like the final game of the series, right? After this, the Nihilegos take the set 2-0, so they're going to be the champions of their first Lure Ball season. And it's, I mean, the VGC series was close, but this match, there's no way around it, right? It's just a dominant victory. Spades basically fought the series 3 versus 6.
Yeah, it was just like the better, like Spades just had the better mons, like, realistically.
Yeah, the team just didn't have the tools, right? Like, if there was a Mamoswine or something that could just be throwing high horsepowers at these Pokemon, like, maybe we would have gotten somewhere, right? Like a Torn Mamoswine, like, to taunt Dusclops and just get damage on these things, right? But
I mean, you can nitpick at optimizations, right? Like, we could talk about Specs High Dragon. We could talk about Wigglytuff having D-Gleam. We could talk about Mamoswine being
Yeah.
on the squad. We could talk about Gotharita being on the squad to threaten Perish Trap.
But it's just like a fundamental. It's the problem here is just like a fundamental issue across like the whole team, right? Like the team was just too passive for what Spades brought to the table.
Right. But yeah, like honestly, super excellent prep on Spades' behalf, and a well-deserved first championship from the what was it?
The nihilistic Nihilagos.
Yeah, so very, very well done. Congrats on that first Lure Ball championship, and if Lure Ball comes back around in a similar way, some people might be getting recruited to the Solanor squad. So
I mean, and I have to say, like, I thought the Nihilagos had a good team, but I didn't really have them pegged as like a favorite to go far in the tournament or anything, right? Like Casper and Jackie were both new to the server. I didn't really know what to think in those players. I thought their team was pretty solid. They stole Buzzwolf from us, which I was very upset about. But I certainly didn't have them pegged as the favorites in like a lot of the matchups they won, and they ended up like they beat the Worldwide Seaman. They beat Team Serene Grace, and they beat the Insects here, who were like our other grand finalists. Like nothing but props, right? Like this is a team that ended the season on like a 7 or 8 game winning streak. That's it for the cast, folks, but stay tuned. We have Lady Lilac standing by with Jackie and Spades for an insightful interview with the victorious champs.
This is what I do.
Okay. Thanks for the great cast, myself and Chad. I'm here now with the Nihilagos, Jackie and Spades, fresh off of their dominant victory over those insidious arthropods from outer space, the invading insects. Tell me, Jackie, how's it feel to be the champ?
Feels good. First win.
First win, anything special, or still kind of resonating, vibing in the victory?
Honestly, still kind of vibing. It felt like it happened yesterday, but I'm still just kind of here.
Well, actually, it happened like 30 minutes ago. You just won. So that makes sense. Spades, you've actually been a champ before, but how did it feel to repeat the accomplishment and join the illustrious 2-time Cherish Club?
Well, getting the Cherish Ball is more important than the other championship I won. So getting the second one is quite nice, and given the circumstances of this one is one of the more special ones I've had.
Yeah, it was a new format with a whole new draft strategy, a new team structure, and probably our first major team league event, at least from the time that I've been here. But you guys did have to prepare for a really tough opponent in the grand finals. The Invading Insects might have been one of the lower-seeded teams coming into the playoffs, but they honestly tore through the competition in the postseason, up until they met you, at least. Can you walk me through some of the process of preparing for that difficult matchup?
Ally switch. So much ally switch.
From them? Yeah, I know the Insects, well, I watched some of their games. Some of their tactics were what some may call cringe, but it did serve to get them to the finals. Were you afraid of some of those tactics, some of that ally switch Perish Trap nonsense going into your match?
That's all we prepared for. So many games of that. Couldn't be any more prepared.
Anything to add to that, Spades? Any more ally switch trauma? I don't remember seeing any ally switch in either of the games, really, actually.
So I will give them credit. They got so far because their singles matchup has been so good the whole way throughout. And that's kind of how we based our preparation was, all right, we have to win the doubles games because their singles matchup looked horrible. And I feel like a lot of other teams felt that way too. So we really needed to get through the doubles matches, and I think we did a good enough job at that, to say the least.
Well, considering you won, I'm inclined to agree. And as one of the singles players who lost to Gengar in playoffs, I'm also inclined to agree with your take on that. But I want to walk us back a bit then to the earliest parts of the regular season. Let's say week 3. You just lost one of your founding members in the team, and Spades had subbed in after a week 3 that your team ultimately did come up short in. Looking down the barrel of a 1-2 start after a rocky and dramatic beginning to the season couldn't have been easy, Jackie. How did you manage to regroup and recover from that? Your late season surge was pretty incredible, and I think everyone was taken a bit aback by it.
It's not my first rodeo flopping in the beginning. Just gotta keep going and play it as it is.
That's very true. And while you're making that late season surge, both in the regular season and the playoff season, you actually came up against Panda, who's our current VGC champion, won the Cherish Ball division, 2-time champion of Premier as well. I think many would probably consider him the best VGC player in the SCDA server right now, and you got the better of him not just once but twice. Talk to me a bit about that matchup.
Matchup wasn't very hard. I'd say I had all the tools to beat Panda. I just had the play to beat Panda, which was the harder part. They're so good at the game.
That's very true. But two well-earned victories and 2 incredible matches to watch. If anybody hasn't seen them, well worth going back to checking them out. Your team also made some pretty significant roster changes earlier in the season, dropping Buzzwole, Archeops, and Kling Klang to obtain Copperajah, Marowak, and Quillfish. Buzzwole in particular seemed like a pretty sought-after pick during the preliminary draft. So talk me through the thought process of making those changes. After watching the Grand Finals matches, I think Marowak and Copperajah's performances speak for themselves. But I'm curious to hear the coach's take on it.
Quillfish sucked. Do not draft it. Do not draft it unless you're playing singles. It did nothing all season.
And Spades, I think you came in... Did you come in after those trades had taken effect?
No clue there was a Buzzwole on this team, to be honest.
Then you definitely came in after those. But how do you feel about Copperajah, Marowak, and Quillfish? Were the additions to the team?
I can find the quote that I had at the beginning when I joined, but I think it was along the lines of Copperajah sucks. I will take back those words, to say the very least.
Yeah, Copperajah, known as...
Copperajah was the kind of the slot that at least completed the 6v6 team, because as I've learned to play it more, and also it helped the back end of VGC, and even in the singles and the semis, it claimed a KO every time it came in. So that mon, I think, overperformed quite a bit from my expectations.
Yeah, I think your team's...
completely agree.
Yeah, I think your team's performance with Copperajah may have contributed to developing a long-term phobia in the extraterrestrial insect population of elephants. So, you have that to say for yourselves. I want to zoom out a bit now to the bigger picture of the league. How involved were you all in each other's preparations? Obviously, you all seemed to stick to the same formats when it came to match day. I know we had some teams where players alternated, but you guys all seemed to stick pretty close to your own formats. But were there any practice matches, cross-format suggestions? What was it? Talk to me about the team dynamic behind the scenes.
We became a team we started actually preparing with each other for the finals, as sad as that sounds.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was we kind of did our own thing, but whenever one player would go down, they wouldn't, back away and just sit and pout. They would cheer on the other teammates, and that's, I think, what really played dividends in our success, was the fact that we at least were there to supporting our other teammates, and we put our trust in them, and this is where we're at.
Okay, so you gave each other the space to succeed and have control over your own formats, but you were there to support each other when it was needed, and ultimately just come together as a team to claim the championship. I respect that a lot. I've got one last major question here for you, and that's that it'll be a little while before Lureball comes back to the SCDA, but when it does, do you think the Nihilegos will be reconvening to defend their title?
Absolutely.
Not as the Nihilegos, though. I rebel.
True.
A rebrand might be in order then.
Yeah. We already probably decided that rebrand too, so.
You're the Hoodlums Crafties.
A tribute to what many might consider the MVP of that of those final matches. Scrafty did a ton of work, especially for a low-tier budget pick on the roster. I think a lot of people, some people might be excited to know that you guys are coming back to defend the title. Some people might be quaking in the boots. Any particular Mon that you want to shout out as the MVP of the team? Is it Scrafty?
Yes.
Scrafty.
Definitely
no doubt
Scrafty?
about it.
Yep.
Just what that Mon has done. I can speak in my format, but also for the VGC. We didn't use it the normal way, which typically you think of like the assault vest, fake out, snarl, what have you. Intimidate, I think, is the big one. This team did not have, well, at least before we started using Cop, did not have a great like a physical damage output dealer, and so Moxie Scrafty, as fun as that sounds, fit in perfectly, and it ended up playing out much better than I think a lot of people thought. So.
Makes sense. That's probably just about all the time we have left. I'll let you guys get back to your team here in a moment. But before I let you go, I do just want to hand the mic to each of you in turn. Jackie first. Is there anything you want to say to the rest of the division and everybody else who watched and cheered as you fought your way to the top?
Good games and thank you. My first time in Silphco and I had a great time.
The perfect sportsman right up until the end. Thank you for that, Jackie. Spades, on your end?
Glad that Panda got nerfed by Kartana.
Harsh words for the Serene Grace Steel type. But are they inaccurate? Well,
No.
the proof is in the pudding, I suppose. On that note, I'll let you two get back to your teams. Thank you so much to everybody who chimed in to watch. And take care, everybody, and we'll see you all next season.